What happens when America's sweetheart steps onto a late-night stage expecting a friendly chat, only to walk into a calculated ambush? What happens when years of buried resentment and veiled professional envy erupt in real time on national television? On a night that was supposed to be another routine stop on a press tour, Jennifer Aniston found herself at the center of one of the most jaw-dropping confrontations in late-night history, on Jimmy Kimmel Live. From the moment Jennifer walked out, something felt off. She was there to promote a deeply personal project, one she'd nurtured for years. The crowd was electric, expecting lighthearted exchanges between old friends. But Jimmy wasn't there to play nice. "So, Jennifer," he began, his tone casual but loaded, "I have to ask about something that's been making the rounds in the industry." Jennifer laughed, trying to brush it off, though her smile was tight. "What gossip are we diving into tonight, Jimmy?" He leaned forward, dropping the bomb. Rumors had been circulating, he said. Claims that she had muscled her way into the producer's chair on her latest film, pushing out people who had worked on it from the start. The room froze. Jennifer's face faltered. "What exactly are you suggesting?" she asked, her voice level but taut. Jimmy didn't flinch. "Did you or did you not use your influence to take over someone else's project?" The line between interview and interrogation was obliterated. Jennifer held her ground. She explained she had been the one to develop the concept, pitch it, and secure funding. But Jimmy wasn't finished. "Because I've heard Sarah Mitchell had been working on the exact same idea for 2 years before you came in with your version," he said, pulling out a folder. "I've got emails, Jennifer. Emails that say your team swept in and stole it. The impact was immediate. Sarah Mitchell, a rising producer, someone Jennifer had mentored, was not a name Jennifer expected to hear used against her. She was visibly shaken, her defenses crumbling before she rebuilt them in seconds. "Sarah is someone I respect deeply," she said. "And I'm shocked that you'd bring up industry politics on live television based on unverified information." Jimmy pushed harder. He waved the emails like a weapon. The crowd, once buzzing with excitement, was silent, locked in disbelief. This was no longer a celebrity sit-down. This was a takedown. Jennifer stared him down. "Are you really sitting here accusing me of theft, based on stolen emails that just happened to make their way to you?" "I'm asking questions," Jimmy replied, smug. "People say America's sweetheart isn't so sweet when business is involved. That's when the shift happened." Jennifer, no longer interested in diplomacy, let go of the polished restraint she'd mastered over decades. Her voice sharpened. "You decided this was the place to amplify lies and spin a narrative. Is that it?" Jimmy insisted he was seeking the truth. But Jennifer wasn't letting him off the hook. She stood up. The audience gasped. Jimmy tried to regain control, asking her to sit. She didn't. "You ambushed me," she said, pacing in front of his desk, fury in every step. "You could have called. You could have asked for a statement, but you wanted the moment." She didn't hold back. She called out his history, his treatment of Britney Spears, Jessica Simpson, his tendency to twist vulnerability into punchlines. "Those were comedy bits," Jimmy said weakly. "Cruelty is not comedy," Jennifer shot back. "You thought humiliating me would be your next viral hit. Congratulations, you got it." He scrambled to backpedal, but she cut through his panic. "Do you even know what those emails say? Or did you run with a version that served your ego?" She dropped the truth. She and Sarah Mitchell had been collaborating from day one. Sarah was an executive producer, fully credited with a cut of the profits. The emails were real. Correspondence between two professionals figuring out how to share credit and protect Sarah's contributions. Jimmy had never checked. He didn't want the truth. He wanted the headline. Jennifer's voice carried a new weight. "Sarah called me crying last week. Her emails had been hacked. She was terrified this would derail everything. Now I know who helped do it." Jimmy denied hacking anything, but Jennifer was relentless. "You were manipulated, used, and you dragged us both into your mess for a cheap moment of relevancy." Silence blanketed the studio. Even the band didn't know what to do. Jennifer stood strong, voice steady now. "You were so desperate for views you didn't care who got hurt. You didn't care about Sarah. You didn't care about me. All you saw was the opportunity. She kept going, more controlled but no less fierce. She revealed she had agreed to the appearance as a favor, because Jimmy's ratings were down, because he needed a win. I thought maybe I could help, she said. I thought maybe showing up would give you a boost. But that wasn't enough. Jimmy had wanted a spectacle, and he got one. You thought if you could take down Jennifer Aniston, people would start paying attention to Jimmy Kimmel again, she said, her voice slicing through the tension like a blade. Jimmy tried again to explain, to reset, but there was no undoing what had been done. Jennifer leaned in close. You didn't just smear my name. You dragged Sarah into it. She now has to deal with the fallout of your desperate stunt. And for what? To go viral? She told the audience the truth. The emails were part of a good faith conversation between colleagues. They weren't evidence of theft. They were evidence of mentorship and collaboration. Jimmy sat pale and sweating, unable to defend himself. You saw drama, and you jumped, she said. You didn't care what it cost. Some audience members started to leave. Others stayed, eyes wide, knowing they were witnessing something historic. You made me do this, Jennifer said, her voice dropping to a whisper. You made me expose personal, professional matters on live television. You violated trust for ratings. He tried to apologize. If I made a mistake, you didn't make a mistake, she snapped. You made a choice. Then she turned to the audience. You came here for a fun interview. You gotta see what happens when desperation meets dishonesty. When someone trades integrity for attention. Facing Jimmy again, her contempt was unmistakable. You betrayed the trust of someone who came here to help you. Jimmy, shaking, tried one last time to recover. We can fix this. You can come back. Jennifer paused, her gaze razor sharp. There's not enough airtime in the world for you to apologize for what you did tonight, she said. And not enough credibility left in your career for anyone to believe you. She picked up her things, turned, and headed for the exit, one final parting shot over her shoulder. Enjoy your viral moment, Jimmy. It's the last one you'll ever get at my expense. She walked off the stage, leaving behind a silenced host, a stunned audience, and a moment that would be etched into the history of late night forever. Jimmy Kimmel sat frozen, barely able to whisper, "We'll be right back after this commercial break." But everyone knew there was no coming back from that. The fallout was immediate. Within minutes of Jennifer Aniston walking off set, the clip had exploded online. Social media was ablaze. Hashtags like Aniston Unfiltered, Kimmel Meltdown, and Team Jennifer were trending worldwide. News outlets scrambled to get their takes up, pundits dissected every word, and Hollywood insiders watched closely, calculating how this very public implosion would ripple across the industry. Inside the studio, chaos reigned. Jimmy's production team huddled in the wings, faces pale, unsure whether to cut to reruns or let the damage play out in real time. Jimmy himself remained slouched behind his desk, his fingers gripping the edge like a man trying to keep himself from sinking. When the cameras finally cut to commercial, he didn't speak. He just sat there, blinking. Jennifer, meanwhile, had already left the building. Her team ushered her into a waiting SUV, but the cameras caught a glimpse of her face through the tinted window. Calm, composed, and completely unreadable. She didn't need to say anything else. The world had already heard enough. Back at the network, executives were frantically trying to decide how to respond. There were emergency meetings scheduled. PR firms called in. The question wasn't whether damage control was needed. It was whether there was anything left to salvage at all. By the next morning, the headlines were brutal. Aniston eviscerates Kimmel on live TV. America's sweetheart goes scorched earth. Late night turns dark. The interview that shook Hollywood. Clips from the broadcast were dissected frame by frame. Analysts pointed out the exact moment Jennifer's posture shifted from amused to combative. Body language experts were brought in. Lip readers even. The confrontation wasn't just news. It had become spectacle. And then, as if things couldn't get worse for Jimmy, Sarah Mitchell broke her silence. In a measured, composed video posted to her social media account, Sarah addressed the situation directly. She looked exhausted, like someone who had been thrust into a media firestorm she never asked for. "I want to be absolutely clear," Sarah said. "Jennifer Aniston didn't steal anything from me. We've been working together for over a year on this project. She brought me in. She fought for me to get the credit I deserve. If anything, she's been my biggest advocate in this industry." She paused, her expression hardening. What happened on Jimmy Kimmel Live was a manufactured ambush based on stolen, incomplete information. I don't know who sent those emails or what their intentions were, but they twisted private correspondence into something ugly and false. Jennifer was right to defend herself, and I stand with her. The video racked up millions of views in hours. Support for Jennifer surged. Celebrities began weighing in, some cautiously, others boldly. Reese Y.,